All right, welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting. The subject tonight is the issue of a casino, and we'll take a roll call, please.
Alderman Valco. Alderman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Cunningham.
Present.
Alderman Conkin.
Present.
Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Beedling.
Present.
Alderman Newsom.
Present.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman May.
Present.
Oh, we have a quorum. What I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to hand off the reins of the meeting to Alderman Rivera because the Casino Committee is under his direction, and I think it's important that the discussion kind of continue along the lines of what they've had at that level. So, Alderman Rivera, I'm going to allow you to take the meeting,
okay.
I'm going to step down and actually sit in the audience with the rest of you and listen. So, Alderman Rivera, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, welcome to tonight's special Committee of the Whole. Tonight, we have a special guest here who is our Senator, Senator Terry Link. Thank you very much for being here, and I know it's a very busy schedule that you have, and to take the time to come and discuss this with us, we really appreciate it very much. Senator Link, we know that you are the champion of this bill, and what we're going to do is, before we have any questions, we'd like to have the Senator come up and to let us know what's going on with the bill and just the information of what's going on in Springfield.
Thank you, Alderman, and it's a pleasure being here. First of all, you invited me, and I answered. Even though I live in Waukegan, I do represent 22 communities in my Senate district, and between being in Springfield, it's not always easy to attend council meetings or other types of meetings, but when asked, I appear. I'd like to familiarize everybody with laying out the whole perspective of what this did from day one almost to today. And maybe it'll give everybody a different picture or a clearer picture on what's been going on. I've been an advocate of this riverboat and I say riverboat now, but in this legislation it's going to be a land-based casino. So we've taken the concept of riverboats out of legislation. So, but I'll still be referring to the boat. And I've been doing this for 20 years, even before I was in the Illinois Senate, and the last close to 16 years that I've been in the Senate. As the Alderman indicated, I've been basically a champion of trying to get this done. And let me just, I'll clear this up later. I've been working on this, and I've been working on it basically for the city of Waukegan. And I've championed it to try to get it in the city of Waukegan. And we've came up with some problems. Matter of fact, it's called the Illinois Gaming Board. And 3 different times we were in front of the Illinois Gaming Board and we rejected it for different reasons. And I see former Mayor Durkin out here who lived through it with us, Mayor Hyde, and we sat there and we were rejected. We were rejected even years before when we were rejected by the city of, when the city of Elgin got it, Waukegan was rejected. That's how many years back it goes. Then Rosemont got it. Even though we were the highest bidder at that time, we were rejected. Then came the last salvo of time that probably hurt us even more. We thought we were sure of it when it was the 3 finalists of Rosemont, Des Plaines, and Waukegan, and then Des Plaines got it. It was totally disappointing, and I was very frustrated. And I've had the opportunity of not only being in the Senate for almost 16 years, I've been in leadership for the last 9 years. And I turned to President Jones at that time. He was the president of the Senate, and I said, we've got to do something about this. And he also sent letters of recommendation. He supported Waukegan's venture of getting this, and we worked on it. And we tried. And what we did after that, I came up with the concept of, instead of what we did of just asking for a new license or a particular license, what we did is we went out there and we said, okay, we're always going to give Chicago one in a thing, because Chicago wanted a casino, but the former Mayor Daley wasn't as vocal about wanting one as the new Mayor Emanuel, who has been very hard working on this and is very, very involved in working on it. But when Mayor Daley wanted it, but he really didn't come out for it, but behind the scenes he told us, you know, if you send it to me, I'll take it, you know, that kind of attitude. So what we did is we drafted a bill, and in that bill we named 5 locations. And this was my first bill, did it, and those locations were Danville, South Suburbs, Rockford, Waukegan, and the city of Chicago. We named it and we passed it out of the Illinois Senate to never be heard in the Illinois House, which is something happens a lot of times in the General Assembly. So then as persistent as I am, I went back to work again and I started it. Well, then came the mayoral election in the city of Waukegan, and Mayor, we've had these discussions, and you've said it, so we're not saying any secrets out of school here. The mayor ran on a platform of anti-gaming, and I respect any individual that has the courage to stand up and say their convictions of what they believe in when they are running. And he stood on that conviction of saying he was anti-gaming. He was elected in the election. After the election, I called up then, as I say, Bob Sabanjian, because he wasn't mayor at the time, and I said, why don't you and I get together in my office and talk about what we can do for the city of Waukegan? And we sat down for about an hour one day in my office. And I said, and I called him Bob at that time because he still wasn't the mayor, and I said, Bob, I represent 22 communities, and there are mayors that work against me in elections. But right after the election, I sit down with them and say, what can we do to work on together to make the city better? And we laid out a plan of different things that the mayor-elect at the time wanted. And I said, okay, I can do this for you. We could do this, try to get this done. I've introduced legislation that the mayor wanted. Some of it got passed, some of it didn't. I was able to obtain $500,000 for them to get the Art Space Center finished and completed to what they wanted. And I said, I've been available for the city of Waukegan at the beckoning of the mayor and the council when they need something. So I was willing to work in all this. But one of our last subject matters that we talked about that day was gaming. And the mayor said that he was still opposed to gaming and that he would not issue a liquor license to me, even if I was successful in trying to put Waukegan into a piece of legislation. And I had already knew that was going to be the answer coming because I respected him for running on a platform and getting elected on that platform. I'd already had my plan B in place in my mind and what I was going to do, but I had the respect of talking to him first to find out if that was, as they say, his final answer. And it was. So then I turned to the city of Park City, which is in the proximity of every plan that was designed of where the Waukegan boat was going to go. It was going to go out in the old Lakehurst site. It was going to be out there. This was going to be in Park City with proximity of Route 41, the tollway, 120, 132, Washington, all of these roads that would lead there. And I met with the mayor of Park City, and I said to him, Mayor, here's what I want to see if you would be interested in. If you would like a riverboat, here's what you would have, your couple criteria you would have to do. Number one, you would have to be 100% for it. Your village, city council would have to be 100% for it. And you would have to have a location that would be adequate for this to be at. And he came back to me a couple days later and everything and said, all three of those are met. When they were met, Park City was substituted in the piece of legislation for Waukegan. Because my responsibility since the day I was elected, because if you remember when I did these first pieces of legislation for Waukegan, I didn't live in Waukegan. I lived in Vernon Hills. So if it was doing a homeboy type of thing, I would have been trying to get a boat for Vernon Hills, but I don't think they were too interested. But the point was, is I was doing it for the 30th Senate District. That's what I was doing it. I wanted it up here because we needed it. I was doing it for depressed areas. I was trying to bring jobs, economic viability back up into this area. So my thought was, okay, Park City's there, we put it in a bill. This still was going to give jobs and economic viability into an area that was totally depressed. Put it into the bill. We were able to not only pass that bill out of the Senate, we were able to pass it out of the House, and it was ready to be delivered to the governor. The governor had already made his, well, actually he didn't make them. He didn't make them until 5 minutes before, and I'm using an exaggeration, but he made it right before we were to go back into veto session, that he said, if I got the bill, I'll veto it. And he had problems with a few things in the bill, okay? Well, we said, and I met with the governor numerous amount of times before and after we passed that bill. And I also have to say, in all due respect to the elected officials that are sitting on this dais, I never heard from any one of you until after we passed the bill that you wanted it back in Waukegan. So, I mean, the point is, once a bill is passed, it's passed. And, we passed that bill. We had it. I showed that I don't think people thought I could pass this bill and could get it passed out of the House and pass both chambers, because we've tried so many times. I passed it out of the Senate like 3 or 4 times before we eventually could pass it out of the House. And it's not an easy procedure. But we did it, and we got it done. And today we sit here, after the governor's statement about that he wanted certain changes. Then the governor stated that he wanted Lake County and not Park City, okay? Well, here's what you're gonna go through, a couple scenarios. If I was, and let me tell you something and explain it to you very clear. As you appear as legislators, which you are, and the executive branch here, you write the legislation. The executive branch has the chance of vetoing it, and you have the chance of overriding it. It's the same in the General Assembly. The governor has no authority to write legislation. He can't say that something's going to go in Lake County, or it's going to go in Waukegan, or it's going to go in Park City, or it's going to go in anywhere. He can make suggestions that he would like it there. But there's only one human being that could decide where that's going, and that person's speaking right now. Because I'm the sponsor of the bill. And I'm deciding where it's going to go in. So we put it in there that way. And we decided how it was going to go. Wrote the bill, clarifying it. We are sitting down with everybody. But if I were to change it to what the governor wanted and said Lake County, guess what scenarios we would be going through again? The same dog and pony show. We went in front of the gaming board before, and guess what? It won't be in Waukegan. Because you will have every community in Lake County that is desperately in need fighting you tooth and nail to get that, because they've seen it can pass both chambers now. and they will be fighting and showing what they want. And you saw your track record with the gaming board, and there's reasons. So the reason I specified the city is to take that out of the hands of the gaming board. Now, I don't specify the operator. Let me make that very clear. I don't specify. We don't have any authority to specify who's going to operate that, who's going to be the developer of that, because I could care less who it's going to be. The point is, the gaming board, the cities, will have a suggestion of who they would like to have as the developer. Danville, Rockford, Park City, Chicago, whoever will have a suggestion of who they would like. Say, just use the example, they want MGM to operate their riverboat. Then they offer that to the gaming board. The gaming board then makes that decision if it's okay. They have to vet it. So actually you're going through two different procedures. That's a second step we made. But the point was, I'm not going to let this area get beat again for the 20-some years that it's been beat and thrown out the window because we fight up here for some reason. It's going into 30th District. I'm going to fight it for the 30th District. But here's what I made even on top of that. Hearing the question, honoring the mayor's opinion, honoring everybody else's opinion, what we did is we wrote into the bill, all these other places have profit sharing. I wrote into this bill in legislative intent that the money will be divided from the Park City boat. Park City will only get 25%, City of Waukegan will get 50%, and the City of North Chicago will get 25%. Between three economically depressed communities. They will receive the money, it will be divided that way. You basically are going to be getting 50% to do nothing. So using arbitrary numbers, if there's $10 million at the end of the year, you get $5 million check handed to you. You don't offer police service, you don't offer fire service, you don't have to build a street, you don't have to build anything. You offer them that, and that's it. To add one other thing before I end and let you ask questions, you hired a lobbying firm. I have to tell you one thing, you know, I talked to the mayor about this before I hired. The lobbying firm you hired, I have utmost respect for. They are one of the finest lobbying firms in the state. They know their business, they have worked with me, they have already sat down and talked to me about some of your other wishes and hopes that you need for the city, and we are already working on them to see if we could come to fruition on them. Excluding gaming, we're working on some other things. So we're trying to get that resolved and seeing how we can work that through. So I want to compliment you on the firm, but I did suggest to the mayor when it came to gaming, you didn't need to hire a lobbying firm because the biggest person to talk to is right here. And this meeting could have taken place almost at any time because I would have matched my schedule with your schedule. When Noel called me, we matched it up and I'm here. So now, any questions you've got? And I think we're still meeting. I should add one more. Matter of fact, tomorrow night when I'm in Springfield, we will be meeting. I am chairing the committee that meets. We have a person from all legislative caucuses, Republicans, Democrats, House and Senate, and somebody from the governor's office, all meeting, plus the boats and the racetracks and everybody meeting to try to come up with some kind of agreements on a bunch of things that the governor disagreed with, we disagreed with, and trying to come up with an agreement the best we can to get a piece of legislation that there will be a gaming bill, another one run within the very near future. But we'd like to get some more agreement with the governor's office on this prior to it, but that's where we stand. I chair that, I run that committee, and it will be meeting tomorrow night as we meet again, and that's where we're at, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate your comments on this issue. And what we're here, obviously, is to state our case. And I know, you've already mentioned, the criteria, and why Park City was selected, obviously. But as far as our defense, first and foremost, the majority of this council has always supported the casino to go in our city. First of all, not only because, the jobs, it's going to bring jobs, but the food and beverage tax, which is a very huge amount of revenue that could potentially come into the community. You're talking, close to $200,000 per year alone in food and beverage tax. So that's something that we could use, especially for our police department in the city of Waukegan, with crime, to combat crime and gangs, and that's something that new revenues that we definitely need. And I understand the position that you're in and why Park City was chosen. That I completely understand. But these are the things. We're a city of 100,000. 95,000 according to the last census, probably well over 100,000, versus a community like Park City with 10,000. And I know the governor's stated that his mission is obviously to support economic growth and to end jobs. So comparing apples to oranges, our city is so much bigger with a lot of potential economic growth that we feel that having the casino in Fountain Square in the city of Waukegan would just enhance that economic growth, not only in that area, but for the entire city of Waukegan. And, that's the reason why we just want to state our defense on why we feel that it's so important to have this casino in our area. But we completely understand the position that you're in, in regards to the whole process. My question is, and you answered a bit, what would be our second option? But we want to make sure and let the people know that our first option has always been to have the casino in our community and to fight for it. But yes, there is a second option, and you just mentioned it, 25% going to North Chicago, 25% going to Park City, and 50%, to the city of Waukegan. But would that be enough to handle our coffers in terms of policing?
Alderman, even if you put it in Waukegan, that's the most you're going to get, because you're going to have to do community dividing anyway, so you'd never get more than 50% anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This way you're getting 50% without the headaches.
Very well.
So you're not going to get any more, and that's why I wrote the piece of legislation the way I wrote it, to give you the opportunity to not go against the mayor's wishes of not having a gaming in the city, but you also have the point of getting the 50%, because you're still going to have to do, taking care of library districts, taking care of school districts, taking care of, trust me, the minute we passed that bill, I had more best friends in the world coming up to me and saying, God, I'd like a little bit of here, I'd like a little bit of there. By the time we would have got done, Park City would have got $10. Because that's how much they wanted it divided. Everybody, well, I only want 250,000. I only want $1 million. I only want, I mean, this boat would have had to do more than Las Vegas would have done for that to generate the money that everybody was asking for. So you're still going to have those concerns, but with this dividing the way you're doing it, you're going to be getting what you would be getting if it was coming into this city anyway. Then you would have been having the police problems, you would have been having the fire, you would have been having the road problems, you would have been having all the other things, you would have the headaches.
Okay, very well.
So if you counter out the money that you'd be spending compared to the money you're getting, you're probably ahead in this deal.
Okay. Anyone else? Alderman Cunningham.
Senator, I think, first of all, I want to thank you for spending your time to kind of enlighten us on how this process works. So I think a lot of the questions and a lot of concerns, a lot of us just didn't understand how the process kind of matures down in Springfield. So I think you've enlightened me and I hope you've enlightened others. With that being said, looking at the legislation, is it feasible, Senator, that Waukegan, that the bill, I know it's supposed to be coming up for a new vote, is that correct? I want to make sure.
Yes.
It's coming up for a new vote. Is it even possible that Fountain Square that not only you labored for, I think as long as I've been an alderman, you have been laboring for a casino for the Waukegan area since 1990, since I've been an alderman. Right. Obviously you said that longer.
I had brown hair and it was long when I started.
That too. The question is it possible that the Waukegan area, that Fountain Square area, could be a mention or put in that new bill if a lot of scenarios happen? Or are we just too late for that aspect, sir?
Well, let me answer it in a reverse way, Alderman, and,
Yes,
and this is with all due respect. If the whole thing was reversed, would you like me coming here and saying, I just took it away from you and I gave it to Park City?
And the answer to that is no, I probably would not, Senator.
Okay.
But I'll say this, because it started in the Waukegan area, and it started with I think the vision, even your vision, and being around you a long time, it was always the Waukegan. That's the reason I say that, not to try to take anything away, just from the very beginning, sir.
And in all due respect, and I mean this sincerely,
I know.
It started, in my mind, in the 30th Senate District, because Waukegan, you had an aggressive developer that was aggressively spending his own personal money trying to go after this. And he cited Waukegan because he worked with the council and the mayors in succession to get this in Waukegan. And that was the one that I was working with at that time because it was Waukegan. Had it been in Park City, or had it been in North Chicago, or had it been in somewhere else, I would just have been as aggressive at that time. My goal is this area, and you know it as well as I do, Alderman, I was born and raised, no offense, I was a war hawk. I was born in North Chicago. I was raised in this area. I live in Waukegan now. I love this area. I will be buried in this area, but I hope it's many years from now. But I meant the point is, I wanted it in this area because I remember when the smokestacks were here. I know when they left. I know what we need to rejuvenate this. Do I think this is the answer all? No. And I'm going to say that very clear. Gaming is not the answer all to solving our problems. As when I helped when I got the Genesee Theaters going, I stood in front of that and said that was not the answer all, but it was something that could help economic viability. This 50% that you'll be getting will help you with your economic viability. But it's not the answer all. I would rather be standing here and saying, we're getting a manufacturing company coming here on the lakeshore, or some other types of companies back here, you know, a high-tech company. I would rather, and I continuously work with people, and I promote Waukegan as a place where you can go. You got transportation, you got water, you got every type of thing that they need. And I have worked my heart off to try to get these companies here, and I will continue to work with them. But in this particular case, I'm saying it probably is a little too late, because it would be very difficult for me to go to that city council and said, well, I was at this city council and I just switched it because you were good enough to say okay when I was looking for another location. So now they want it back, they can have it. It's tough to do right now.
Senator, I guess with that much information, I think has been downloaded to us, the question will be, where do you think we should go from here as far as supporting the vision of the 30th district? Obviously, we love it to be in Waukegan, but making sure it is as close as humanly possible to making sure it gets here.
I would hope that, and I know it's going to be hard for a unanimous support because I know one particular alderman doesn't like gaming in general, and I have some of my colleagues in the Senate that are the same way, so I know I'll never get 59 votes on any gaming bill. But I would like a vast, vast majority of you to endorse a gaming bill that would include what we said, where you would be getting 50% of the deal, and it would go into Park City, and we would all come out in a win-win situation because you're going to get a ton of jobs here. It's going to lead to economic viability because you got to realize you touch the border, so if a hotel's built, that hotel very well could be in Waukegan. If a restaurant's built, that restaurant could very well be in Waukegan. All of those things could be right there. Any other generations, and do you realize out of it, and I'm just using arbitrary numbers, if you were to get $5 million a year, could you imagine what you could do with the bonding of that? Could you imagine what you could do to pay off pensions? Can you imagine what you could do with that money to solve your problems in this city and move things forward the way you want to move them forward? And I'm saying this is something that's being handed to you on a golden platter if we're lucky to pass this bill this time and get the governor to sign it, and I think we can.
And Senator, my last question is, I know the gaming board has been a thorn in our side for the last umpteen years, and it was good thinking to put some specifics there. But I guess the question for me is, how do we get past that hurdle again with the gaming board and utilizing the cities, your 30th district, constituents, to make sure that they understand the message needs to be very clear that this needs to be in our area? Your opinion, sir?
Well, number one, there's legal precedents. I'm not a lawyer and don't pretend to be one. I respect them, but I don't pretend to be a lawyer. But there's a legal precedent because the original bill that we passed to allow gaming in the state of Illinois specified the locations that they were going to go, and mainly along the Mississippi River. And when they did that, they specified to the gaming board these were the locations. So that's what I mirrored it off of when we wrote this piece of legislation, that we are not specifying who the developer will be. We're not specifying anything. We're only specifying the city, not even the location where it's going to be in the city. Like we say Chicago, it could be on the north side, the east side, west side, south side, wherever they want it, but it's going to be in the city of Chicago. That's the same thing here. We would say Park City. It would be Park City. Wherever they locate it, it's where it's at. And I'm telling you right now, I have no idea where they're going to locate it, but I know that they've got 2 or 3 sites that they can locate it in that city.
Okay.
Alderman Moiseo. Thank you, Alderman Cunningham.
If this does pass, then, Senator, the only thing that the gaming board would do would be vet the operators. That'd be their only purpose.
Well, that would be their main purpose. I meant they go through everything else. I meant we still have regulations in there that they have to go through, you know, contracts they have to go. I mean, we made it so tough in there, it's very difficult for anything to happen in that, you know, for somebody to try to sneak in that's a little shady or anything. And this is what we want. We don't want any. We have had no problems in the state of Illinois, and we don't want any problems in the state of Illinois. But the main thing that they would do, Alderman, and you're totally correct, is they would be vetting this person,
the operator,
people, whoever it is. So Park City picks MGM, like I used as an example earlier, and MGM has to come in there with all their certificates, all their background checks, everything that they have. And if the gaming board says, okay, you're clear, all these people are clear, now you can build and operate. And it's like a 6-month procedure before they can get that done. We have taken all timelines away, so they're not under any constraints as far as getting it done immediately or within a month. So, but we would hope the faster the better so that we could get this under construction. But yeah, that would be their main objective.
So perceivably, there could, I mean, at any of those locations, there could be, the gaming board could come back to any one of these locations that you specified and say, no, these people aren't good enough, or no.
You got it.
We don't like this one, or no, we don't like that one, or no, we don't like this one, or that one's not, didn't cut the
You got
mustard.
it. They could turn down, Mosio Development Company could go in there and they could say, no, you don't pass the mustard, throw you out. Next one, Cunningham Development Company, turn them down. They could go down to through 3 people and they say no, and eventually they say, okay, this is the one that you can have. So it is up to them to make that decision, and it should be up to them. They are the regulators, they are the people that regulate the laws that we pass, and they should be making that decision. All we're doing is saying it's going to go up in this location. These are the locations to stop the growth, the money and everything else to go to the Wisconsin lines. That's what we're basically doing. Like I said, I keep saying, I'm not a lawyer, but my clients are the 30th District and the state of Illinois, and I want to see the money being generated into the state of Illinois so we can start paying our bills.
So this legislation just specifies the location and the revenue sharing. That is specified in the bill, that the revenue sharing is what it is, 50, 25, 25.
Right.
That is in the bill.
Now, if you did anything locally, like if you do, you would probably do it prorated. You know, if you had a school district, or you did a park board, or, you know, and I'm just using examples, or you did somebody else, and you gave them $100,000, you would prorate it and say you pay 50, they pay 25 and 25. That's how you would do it from them. But that's specified in the law that you will get 50%.
I want to make sure I understand this right. It passed both the Senate and the House, and the reason that it hasn't gone any farther is the governor has said he will not sign this particular one,
Right.
correct?
Right.
So this meeting you're going to have is, again, to try to get some amendments or some other things worked out as to...
The main concern, Alderman, that he had was the slots at the tracks were his biggest concern. And we have both sides, and we have been meeting. We have met numerous amount of times. We feel like we're coming closer to a resolution on it. And the problem is getting that resolved one way or the other so that the governor can feel comfortable. And like I said, I put my foot down and said, I'm not running any more bill until we have all 4 caucuses and the governor participating in this format. And everybody's in agreement. He appointed a former legislator to be his lead man, and former Representative Gary Hannick, who I totally respect, everybody respects that, and has been very valuable to have it. And tomorrow we'll meet at about 4 o'clock and probably go until about 9 o'clock at night meeting on this.
One more question, you probably can't answer since you're not a lawyer, but is there anywhere in the statute that specifies what the revenue sharing has to be, or can it?
No.
It doesn't? Okay.
No. That's why we're doing this, to make sure that it goes this way with these 3 communities.
What's the state gets a cut, though, obviously.
Oh, yeah, don't trust me, we're going to get ours.
So it's not 50%, 25,
No,
25. It's after the state's cut.
Right, we get this all, everybody gets their cuts, you know.
And that's just on the gaming revenue.
Right.
That's the money that the gamblers spend. That's the gaming revenue. The state takes its cut. Do you know what the state's cut is?
I don't.
Does anybody know what the state's cut is?
Well, I've got information here.
Okay,
All
I
of
just-
this you can look at.
So it's really not 50, it's after the state's cut.
No, they don't. I think our percentage is, and that's going to change too, because in the legislation, we're changing the tax structure in that bill with the state's structure. We're changing it, its tax structure, so when all these come online, that'll all change too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Conken.
First off, thank you, Senator Link. I know you're a busy man, and really, really appreciate you making time to come here and talk to us and answer our questions.
No problem.
So, thank you very much. One of the things that's been brought up to me in discussions with the general public, and has been brought up in the casino committee meeting, is that originally when riverboats were launched in Illinois, the communities had to meet a certain set of criteria to qualify for having a site. Thus, things such as it's a depressed economic community, manufacturing has left the area, there's no jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And although I appreciate and I understand your position, just like you said earlier, how would you feel if you went back to them and said, oh, by the way, we're taking it back from you, we're going to give it to Waukegan? I understand the position you're in, but doesn't Waukegan more closely meet the requirements of the casino when as it was originally drafted, as opposed, just for example, well, how many jobs has Waukegan lost compared to how many jobs has Park City ever provided? I don't mean to insult Park City, but they weren't a manufacturing center.
Well, I could go at this. If we were going to base our argument solely on that, Alderman, we would be having a riverboat in Waukegan and Des Plaines would not. Because the argument that we had against Rosemont and Des Plaines is by the letter of the law, we followed it to a T. We were a depressed community. Economically, we were needing it. And when I heard the ruling of the gaming board, and I think it was with I don't remember if it was Des Plaines or Rosemont, the reason they awarded it to them, because there'd be more high rollers going to that casino than there would be to a Waukegan one. Well, I might not be a lawyer, but I could study the statute very well, and I know the gaming statute pretty well. And nowhere in that statute does it say that one of the criteria is who could get the most high rollers to go to it. Because if you notice, most of these casinos are having penny and 2 penny machines in them and getting rid of the quarter and dollar machines because they know who's playing, and it's called senior citizens that are going there and playing more, not the high rollers. And the point is what I'm saying, if we were going by that, the gaming board would have awarded it to Waukegan probably about 15 years ago, and we would be not having a meeting talking about this. We'd probably be talking about how you're going to spend all your money.
Well, thank you very much for coming, Senator. Like I say, we were hoping that we would be able to convince you, and maybe when you were rewriting the bill, to throw Waukegan back in there. Obviously, we have a shovel-ready area that's ready to go, and we're really looking forward to this. I was hoping we could convince you, but let's hope for the best. Thank you very much, Senator.
Alderman Beedling.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Senator.
Yeah, welcome.
I floated an idea a couple of times. I spoke to Mayor Cannell about it. We do have a very choice location out at Fountain Square, and I think lines could be drawn. Park City butts up to pretty close to Fountain Square over there. Some locations, the state is interested in maximum revenue they can draw in, and that's closer to the tollway out there. The roads are already in place. If the city could possibly, the idea that I floated about possibly annexing that 30 acres and drawing lines so they could hook up with that if possible.
That would be up between you and Park City, not the state. You know what I mean? Like I said, Alderman, out of respect, I'm just naming the city. I'm not naming the location. I'm not naming a developer. I'm staying out of all of that stuff. All I'm doing is naming a city, period.
I appreciate
So, if you guys can work that deal out, I think whoever the developer is would probably be very, very happy.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Very well. If there's no other questions from the aldermen, I'd like to, we have to hear a public comment, and if they have any questions for the senator. Let's start with Mr. Mike Melius.
And maybe Terry will start off with some questions. You mentioned that there's a split 50, 25, 25. 50% of what?
What you would do is, and don't quote me exact because I'm not a pro at this, but here we got, here is the pro. Local municipalities get 5% of the adjusted gross receipts. So that 5% would be divided 50%.
Adjusted gross receipts, meaning, again, what?
Louis can answer. Louis has been working. Louis knows this better than I.
So it's, I don't know the answer. It was paid to the wagers, and that's AGR.
Oh, yeah, okay. Whatever is paid out, like, on the machines, to the wagers, whatever. So after you pay out all the bettors and the machines and all that, whatever that gross amount is, that 5%, that's what you would get. So here's the example. If $100 million, and correct me, Louis, if I'm wrong, if $100 million was wagered, okay, and you paid out $80 million in prize money, that would leave $20 million, okay? Then 5% of that would be the adjusted gross income.
5% of the 20 or 5%?
20 of the 20. That's the money that's left over. Because you paid out that $80 million in prize money. And trust me, the figures are a lot higher, but I'm just using it for simplifying it. So if you paid out, $100 million is brought in, that you're betting on the slots, the tables, and everything, and you paid out 80, the 20 million's left over, 5% of that is what goes to the local.
So then Waukegan would get 50% of that.
5%.
5%.
So that's 5% of that portion. I'm assuming wherever the structure goes, they still have to pay real estate taxes?
Mm-hmm.
They still have to pay, indicated there may be a food and beverage tax.
Mm-hmm.
Other taxes that wherever the locality that it is gets money over and above the payout. So you're saying Waukegan should be happy we get 50% of 5% for doing nothing, as opposed to 50% for providing other services, plus getting real estate taxes, plus getting food and beverage taxes, plus all the other taxes, income that there might be, plus whatever collateral benefits, like say hotels and that kind of thing, would go to wherever they're built, locally, right? So Waukegan, technically, when you say, well, sit back and take that 5%, we take that 5% and lose out on all the other benefits. Say, well, that way you don't have to provide police or anything else. Then I go to say, okay, we have Park City, nice place. A community of 10,000 people. That 10,000 person community now is going to have to provide police, all the other stuff that goes with it. And they're going to be paying that from the 25% of the 5% that they get. If, in fact, they are able, and I'm not saying that they can't, but to me it seems like they would have more difficulty providing the necessary services that you're talking about that need to be provided. So that if I'm the legislature looking at that, you're going to want to put it in a community that can provide the services. Now again, no knock on Park City, but it's a very small community with not a lot of extra land or anything else to provide those services or to draw any other income to be able to provide those services. So when you say, well, Waukegan, we should sit back and just be happy with that 5%, I think that's a mistake.
No, not 5%, 50% of the 5%. It's going to be 5% no matter where it's located
I
at.
understand that, but it's still 50% plus the other stuff that goes with it. And to me, that's no small amount. And I think certainly Waukegan is in a position for a city the size as it is to more quickly be able to provide those services on a, let's say, more efficient basis. Certainly, just like anything else, Waukegan may not have the capability as it stands, but once it comes in, I think it has a better capability of attracting more people to provide those services for a casino than Park City. And so, just so I understand, you're saying the legislation, well, first of all, you mentioned you don't want to present the legislation until all four, and I think you said the governor, the legislature, the committees are all on the same page?
No, what we're doing is we're working on a consensus.
Okay.
That's what we're working on. Doesn't mean we're not going to present it.
Well, no, I understand.
But we're working on a consensus. That's what the main thing is.
Well, I thought I heard you say, we'd like to present it, get a consensus, we want to have all on the same page, we want to have the governor, we want to have the committees, the legislators, all in a consensus. And it sounds like at this point in time, the governor may not be on board with our city.
No, that's not necessarily, the governor is not on board with the slots at the track. That's his main concern.
All right, so then
The governor has sat down with all of us, and we know where the governor is at. We meet with the governor constantly on this stuff, and we meet with his lead advisors on that. The governor had made a statement quite a while ago about he'd want it in Lake County. He has never said Waukegan publicly yet. He has said Lake County.
well, you say what you want, you got Park City, and I appreciate you wanting to keep it here, in this area. When they say Lake County, they're trying to put it somewhere else. You've got Waukegan, you got Winter Park, you got Park City, it's all in the northern quadrant. To put it somewhere else, if you were thinking of, the governor's thinking of somewhere else in Lake County, is silly, because now you're right next.
Mike, you got to remember when they were fighting for Fox Lake.
Well, I understand. That they were fighting for Fox Lake, was that before or after the rivers?
Before the rivers.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Now you got the rivers in Des Plaines. So now is the idea to move them, keep them closer? That's a better deal? Or is it better to, as we are here, keep it in the northern area? Like say Park City, Waukegan, part of the design if they're interested. The northern corridor here, so that it is close to bring the people from Wisconsin. Keep this area, which is still, the criteria about the depressed area is still falling in all those criteria. To me, that certainly is more, I don't say lucrative, but more in the area of what they're looking for. And I know you said, yeah, gosh, they want the displays, but we should have been spot on. So that, to me, it's got to be, when he says, well, he said we want it in Lake County, I think he certainly looked like you have been proposing in this area, the area up here. And I understand and I appreciate the fact that you were initially working for Waukegan, and shame on the city for not jumping on board in the beginning. For the life of me, I could never understand it. I understand the positions, maybe moral positions that somebody doesn't like gambling or whatever, but gaming was never going to go away. So it wasn't an issue of, well, we're going to keep it out because we're going to protect our citizens, because we're never going to protect our citizens. Gaming was here to stay. Those who want it are going to go do it. They're going to find it, whether as close as it is, as far as it is, doesn't make any difference. So it's going to be around. So that was unfortunate.
Right.
But if you say, like you did, and I think you believe, that Waukegan is the best area and the best spot for it. Maybe not totally on board initially, and that's unfortunate, and I understand you want to keep in this area, so what's next thing? You try to get Park City, and they're on board, and that's fine. But to then say, well, Waukegan, you had your chance, too bad, too late, I think it is wrong. It's the wrong way to look at it. I think it's...
Mr. Melius, with respect to you, if you could wrap it up, I would appreciate
I
it.
still think it's the best area and the best spot. However, whatever it takes to do it, and say, well, how would you feel about going to Park City and getting those reversed? Well, I don't know how I would feel. But at the same time, you go to Park City and say, hey, guess what? You get 25%, and you don't have to do anything. Well, we get the 50%, we're supposed to be satisfied with it, not doing anything. A community of 10,000, wouldn't they be more satisfied with 25% not having to do anything? And you build it here in Waukegan where I think it really flourishes. I hope there's a way to do it, and I hope that what you were saying, it sounds like you said it, saying it's set in stone. I hope it is.
Thank you, Mr. Melius.
That's why you've always been good in court, Mike.
Wally Sigelski.
Shared mic, Senator. Okay. My name is Wally Sigelski. I live at 2315 Melrose in Waukegan. I'm not that eloquent as a speaker, as a lawyer over here. Although my son is an attorney and my son-in-law is an attorney, so if I need any advice, I just call them. The reason I come here tonight was because I'm in the twilight of my years in my life. And I also love Waukegan, and I've lived in Waukegan longer than a senator here. But what I'm speaking for is on behalf of the young people, when I'm saying young, 35 and 40 years, that live in the communities here now, presently. And hopefully for the younger people who want to eventually come here. But in order for that to turn around, we have to have, and I don't like using the word perception, but we have to have perception turn into reality of a safe community, Recently in the past, one of our sitting aldermen over here spoke about her concern about safety in her community. Here is a sitting alderman sitting here speaking this way, a city government body talking to the people, not only here tonight, but previously, but in the news media. And that touches on the subject about we have to change that. And I say one of the protections for all the senior citizens and the younger people that are presently living here, or in the future, hopefully they'll come here, if we're fortunate enough to have a casino in Waukegan, I would highly recommend that we hire more policemen in Waukegan, and let's stop all this immaturity, and I'm choosing my words, that the fact that we have to hire a lobbyist to speak for us. Now, I don't know the politics of the mayor's office. I don't know the politics of the senator, and obviously I don't know the politics of these aldermen that goes behind that wall over there. But all I'm saying is, on behalf of the younger people, if we should get that community, we need not only all those policemen that we laid off, but we need additional policemen to protect all of us, young and old. In my lifetime, the south side of Waukegan had a negative reputation for crime. But the reality is there is just as much crime in the north side of Waukegan, in defense of Alderman Cunningham. And if, for those who don't know that, all you have to do is listen to a police scanner, and I guarantee you the Waukegan Police Department is very busy on the north side of Waukegan as well as the south side. But I want to reiterate, if we should get a casino, I'd like the city fathers and the city government here, the #1 priority is to bring back the Waukegan Police Department to its previous strength, and additionally so. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sigalski. Senator Link, again, thank you.
Chairman, can I make one more comment?
One more comment, please.
Mr. Milius
Alderman Moiseo.
put something in my mind. Maybe at the same time, I mentioned it to Alderman Cunningham and Alderman Conkin here. In this business, I think you always have to know you have to have a contingency plan. Mr. Milius hinted or alluded to the fact that at the end of the day, it's really just about how it's divided. Where it's put is sort of irrelevant if it's Lake County. And Alderman Conkin also alluded to it. We have the best spot. It's shovel-ready, and you have one owner. It's the city of Waukegan. I don't know if Park City does. Maybe they do. I'm not looking for an answer on this tonight, just a contingency plan. Keep the revenue sharing the same in the bill, but if the state wants money quick, and God knows you guys need money quick, we have a site that's ready, you could build in the spring. It's at Fountain Square. You don't have to worry about parceling land together. You don't have to worry about 5 different owners coming together. You got a piece of property out there with one owner. It's the city of Waukegan. That's what it was planned for. So I'm just putting that in your mind. I know in Springfield you better have contingencies, because that's the game we play, is contingencies. So I'd like to leave you with that thought. You never know what happens. Thank you.
Alderman, as you know, I'm well aware of it because I was working very hard when we tried to get the boat at that Fountain Square location, and if it was up to me, I would have it there right now, because I think that we got shafted in the last 2 go-arounds with the gaming board, and I think I've been very outspoken as far as how I feel about the gaming board and what they did to the city of Waukegan and the northern part of the state of Illinois in this, and I am respectfully disappointed in everything that happened. and I hope that we can work together on this and get it done for the benefit of all the people in this area, because if we fight, we get nothing. If we work together, we get something. And trust me, I've been working for a long time to get this, and as I told somebody, it makes no difference to me, and I'm saying this on a personal basis, where it goes, because my pay is X amount of dollars that I'm making from the state today. It's going to be the same tomorrow, and it's going to be the same hopefully for the next 4 years, because I don't care where it goes. All I care about is it goes up here in this area so that we benefit, and that the people that are desperately in need of construction jobs, building it, and people that are in need of full-time jobs at this casino and the sundry areas around it are being able to go back to work, and that the money that's generated from taxes there can help all the communities, not only the 3 that are mentioned, but other communities in the area, so that we can all have a win-win situation.
Thank you, Senator Link. And yes, we are very passionate. We're frustrated as well, because I remember going down there to Springfield, you know, the first time when the license was up. I think it was the Rosemont license. Yeah, so we're pretty passionate. That's the reason why we're fighting to get it in our location. But Senator, we want to let you know that we're here for you, whatever we can. We just want to make sure that if we can't get it here, let's get the best,
Best deal you can.
Best deal we can for our city.
Okay, and thank you.
I just said one thing we haven't talked about, is tax dollars that would go from real estate to schools. Warren doesn't have near the population of earning that Waukegan does, and our school children would be positively affected by a new building being built in Waukegan.
If it goes to Fountain Square, it would be the same, it'd be a Warren School District.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Either way, it's Warren School District. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you very much for coming, and appreciate it very much.
Motion adjourned by vote.
I have a motion, well, first, should we reseat? Yeah, I mean, no. Motion to adjourn, motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Lisa May. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll take about a 10-minute recess, and then we'll come back in for the city council meeting.